guys, welcome back.
Welcome back to Just One More Chapter podcast. I'm Melanie.
I'm Santana.
And we're your hosts.
Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for joining us again. Get out of the way. I just want everyone to rate and review our show. Give us a 5-star rating. Leave us a comment on YouTube. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
It's a little thing that will help us boost the podcast, share it out to people, help the algorithm.
Yes.
And follow us all on our social media platforms.
Yes, on Instagram, TikTok, and of course on Apple and Spotify. You can listen to us on there.
Yes. Before we go into today's episode, I just kind of want to talk about the book series that I was reading.
Yes.
Or the two of them, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gilead.
Yes.
So good.
Good?
So
Oh,
good.
good.
I really enjoyed that duology. It was, I find it a very interesting and original story.
Oh, good.
Because, sometimes the books you read, especially in fantasy, it's a lot of
Yes.
repeat.
Oh, definitely. It's a bit redundant. For
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
redundant, and I'm not too skilled. I don't have many books in my repertoire that have like fantasy that includes like magic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I just really recommend these two books. It's very quick. It's a great one for the fall before Christmas gets here.
yes.
So I definitely recommend that
Oh,
one.
good. Is there romance in these ones as well?
The
or
first
just-
one is more magic fantasy and with an added romance.
Oh,
The
okay.
second one is really romance.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's not like right in your face. It definitely builds up to it.
Oh, good.
So it's
there's, like, a bit of
believable.
tension and
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing? Oh,
Exactly.
good.
Not
Good.
really much enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
More like the male and female are just kind of like at odds.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
it's really good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
How is
Good.
the second book of the pumpkin?
I haven't started listening to it yet, just because I was so busy. But
Yeah.
and it's the beginning of November, so I got my new credit. So
Oh, that's right,
I
every
will-
month.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
start listening to that this month. For sure.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yes.
It is the second week of November, so we are the middle of November for our book club.
Yes.
Everyone's reading Exodus.
So exciting.
So excited about Kate Stewart. I
Yes.
wonder how everyone's doing for that book. It is a continuation of October's book.
Yes.
So you have to read our October book to even get into the November book.
because it won't make sense if you started with Exodus. You'll be like, "What is going on?"
Exactly. So I've been. It's so weird rereading a book of how sometimes your opinions or how it comes off can be so different
Totally.
than the
It can
first one.
change so much, and you miss certain things that you didn't
Yes.
really quite get before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I always thought maybe sometimes you don't want to read a book too close back to back.
Yeah.
Because for me, I read it, I want to say like winter of last year, was it?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I still remembered most of
Yes,
it.
yeah, me too.
But I'm definitely finding my opinions this time around are a lot harsher than the female main character.
Oh, totally.
I'm not judging her, but I'm like
Totally.
kind of judging her.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? If you don't already know, we are on Fable, which is an app that you can get onto your phone. It's an online book club, but it's also an app where you can monitor and rate books that you are currently
Yes,
reading. So we
yeah.
are on Fable as Just One More Chapter. I will have it linked, hopefully, in our social media that you
Yes.
guys can click the link and follow us. But that's where we are discussing
Yes.
our November book club.
Yeah, so join us on there. It's actually a great app. I love it.
I really love
Love
it.
it.
And I've had so many videos come across my For You page
Yes.
of people kind of complaining about Goodreads.
I know.
Of
I feel like
just-
they're behind with the times. Like,
Yeah.
it seems so dated compared to
Yes.
Fable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I'm
it
like,
hasn't changed in
Yeah.
the years that I've been using it.
Exactly.
And I do love the fact that on Fable we can do half ratings.
Yes. Yeah,
It is-
just their whole rating system's so cool. Like how it
Yeah.
made you feel and all these different things, right?
I feel like Fable is kind of like Instagram mixed with a book review because on
Yeah.
Fable you can kind of see people make posts.
Yes,
where they
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah, it's
cool.
really cool.
So check it out if you haven't already on us Fable. Find us on Fable.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So if you've read the title, you kind of know what this episode is about.
Yes.
We're kind of going into dark romance.
Yes.
What are we
And
going to talk
how
about
dark
today?
is too dark?
How dark is too dark? This came up to my mind because I finished a book or no, sorry, I DNF'd a book.
Yes.
And I texted Santana, and she told me that she did not really vibe with a book that she was reading.
Oh my gosh.
And it kind of like spiraled into like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to talk about this.
definitely.
Because Santana and I love
Yes.
dark romance.
Yeah.
We've only read a few. We're very like baby.
Yeah,
dark
we're
romance.
new into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I haven't really expanded the genre. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to give a description of like what dark romance is if you have no idea
Yes.
what I'm talking about. Dark romance is a romance subgenre with darker themes, mature content, intense, emotionally chaste themes, violence, manipulation, and unhealthy relationships. That's kind of what
Toxic.
toxic.
Toxic love.
Toxic. So that's kind of what dark romance is. I want Santana to kind of tell you guys, because I haven't read it, about a book that she just finished.
Yes, so I just read Little Stranger by Lee Rivers. I'm going to read the back to you guys. She betrayed him, and now he wants revenge against the sister who became his forbidden obsession the second he laid eyes on her. After she sent him to prison for years, he's free and ready to haunt her. Everything about Olivia belongs to Malachi Vise. Her mind, her body, her soul, her fear, her pain. On Halloween night, he can no longer lurk in the shadows, and he has left to his own in her heart, even if he needs to take it. So it doesn't seem that intense when you
No.
read this, right?
Yeah, no.
But the trigger warnings, like I don't think I can even read this to you guys because it's so bad. Little Stranger is about two foster siblings. So it's about Malachi. He comes into the foster home at around age 8. He's a selective mute, so he uses sign language to communicate, so they all learn sign language and that and then he instantly becomes obsessed with his foster sister.
At 8 years old?
Yes, like you're mine, like signing to her, you're mine, and then like the parents find them like kissing. It was
How old is she?
She's a year younger, so she's
Okay.
7.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty close in age, but yeah, it was just so weird. Like instantly becomes obsessed. They start kissing each other, and their parents are like, "Hey, no, like that, you're not supposed to do that."
Ew, and they're like,
A
as like
super-
7 and
yeah,
6-year-old doing that?
Yeah, like
Ew.
super weird dynamic.
Okay, how long does it jump into that age to the other age?
So it's just like a little bit like
Okay.
like it goes from like younger and then instantly they're like teenagers.
Okay.
So yeah, super weird dynamic, and then they become like sexually attracted to each other and start like giving each other lessons.
Oh my
So
god.
that's the first half of the book, and the first half was like, okay, it's kind of innocent, like not too bad, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the second half is intense. I don't think I can even really like
Talk about it.
talk about it.
No, yeah. Like
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was so bad. He's like diagnosed with like antisocial personality disorder. So he's like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
It's
my
so
god.
bad.
Like I heard that
Like,
book
and
was so
people were
intense.
raving about it
Yes.
on TikTok, and I'm
The
just like,
audio that went like viral, of, like the
Yes.
voice actor,
yes,
right?
Exactly. So I'm just like, how? Like it's only 250 pages. So
It's a very thin book.
super short book. So
Yeah.
I read the whole thing, but afterwards I was just like, how?
Yeah.
How do people like this? It was like gross. The second half was so gross. Like he kidnaps her and like does all these disgusting things to her.
Yeah, I know. And this is what really sparked our discussion of like dark tropes and like what's too dark.
Yes.
And I know reading is subjective. This is all
Yes.
fantasies. It's not real.
Yeah.
But I had like a very big ick when it comes to topics that like
Oh, definitely.
are so don't need to be in there because
Yeah.
where is the romance?
Exactly. I felt like this book was more for like shock value, like to be like, oh my God, like this is so crazy.
Yeah.
Not really, like it wasn't even very good storyline. Do you know what I mean? There's so many holes in the plot. The side characters sucked. Like
Yeah.
it was just like,
They just wanted
it
to
just wasn't a good story.
No, and like
to be honest.
so there wasn't really any like romance. It was just him.
I mean, they were
finding-
attracted to each other, but like.
Is it just his point of view?
No, first half is hers.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was first half was like okay, but then it goes second half. He gets sent to prison
Okay.
for like beating up their father because he catches them in the act.
Okay.
And they do something disgusting
No,
there. I can't
yeah,
say.
we can't talk about
I
that.
can't
We'll
say.
get banned.
But yeah, then the second half is like super messed up. He's like
Oh.
stalking her
Mm-hmm.
and like yeah, I can't say a lot of the
Yeah,
things because it's so messed up.
In the second half, like I'm curious. 'Cause, we just said spoiler warnings. We're going through the book, but whatever.
Yeah.
Is she into him? In the second
She
half?
doesn't know where he is because he gets released from prison.
Okay.
She hasn't contacted him at all.
Okay.
She was basically the one who sent him to prison because she testified against him. And he was like, what the heck, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, he's plotting revenge against her and all this stuff. So towards the end, they start to like
Okay.
fall in love, I guess. You
Okay,
would
there's like a happy
say.
ending?
They were, yeah, I guess kind of.
Okay.
There's a second book to it, so.
Oh, I see.
Which I'm not going to read. I'm cutting it off here. But yeah, no, it was just, yeah, it's too dark.
Too dark.
It was like, and I just don't get how people could be into that. Like, it was so messed up to me.
Same.
And cringy and just like, ugh, icky.
I had the same reaction. Was a book called The Ritual by Chantal Tessier.
This one was also super popular.
Super popular.
I was assuming it was going to be really good.
I thought so too. And it has one of her cringes where it's just a guy's face on the book, so we know how that started. But I'm gonna give you guys like the synopsis. Let's see. A lot of these like really dark romance books have very like vague descriptions, but this one sounded like really interesting when I first got it. So, Barrington University is home of the Lords, a secret society that requires their blood in payment. They are, above all, the most powerful men in the world. They devote their lives to violence in exchange for power, and during their senior year, they are offered a chosen one. People think growing up with money is freeing, but I promise you it's not. My entire life has been planned out for me. I never got a chance to do what I wanted until Riot Alexander Archer came along and gave me an option for a better life. He offered me what no one else ever had: freedom. That's where I'm going to stop. It's like, that's very like vague.
They're always very vague and make them seem so like innocent almost.
Right?
Like you're like, okay, it sounds like it could be a really good story, and then you get into it and you're like, what the F?
It was really good.
Yeah.
It only went in a couple chapters into it, but it was really good. It's a secret society.
Yeah,
like,
like, it sounds so cool.
Yeah. And you know, they have to go and like murder someone to get into it. Whatever. They don't describe the murder. So where I got to it, I'm trying to describe without being censored.
Yeah.
The main male character goes and kills someone, and it happens to be this father of a young girl, and the young girl comes out. I'm saying young, but they're like in college.
Yeah.
She's the same age. She comes in and she sees her dad he's dead on the floor, and this man proceeds to sexually assault her. Okay. And like describe the detail, goes into it. You know, things went into one thing, and immediately I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not for me.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I don't need to read about SA, okay? And like details of it. And it wasn't like he was about to and then stopped. No.
No.
He went through with it, and she was not enjoying it.
Yeah, no.
Immediately, I was like, what
Yeah.
the F?
There was a lot of that in Little Strangers
Like,
too.
I'm sorry. This
Yeah.
is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
And like the dark tropes, I kind of want to go over to like dark tropes when I'm done this, but I had to DNF the book. I immediately texted Santana, and she told me about the Stranger book or whatever. I was like, this is insane. These
Insanity.
whole other book.
It's like, I just don't know how authors can even get that.
Right?
Like, dark. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Dark.
Like, oh.
I don't know. And people have finished this book.
Yeah.
It's raved. And
It's a whole series.
So,
isn't
yeah,
it?
there's multiple books.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. There's nothing that you can do as a character to redeem yourself after doing that.
No.
Like, there's some things, you know, in our minds that we can forbid. Again, it's fantasies, they're not real, you know, like possessiveness or toxic.
Yeah.
Mild
stalking.
Mild stalking. But like, S-ing someone?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Why do you think that the female character is then going to be like fall in love with that guy?
Exactly.
What example are you setting for these people? Like, oh my God.
Insanity.
It's insane. And as I was researching for this episode, I kind of wanted to go over like some of the tropes, you know, like the traditional tropes that are in dark romance.
Yes.
And this is a list of an app, Storygraph. It's kind of like Goodreads.
Okay. Yeah, I was checking that out actually. I've never used it at all, but
No, I've tried,
Yeah.
and it just the
I was
interface was like meh. They have like this list
Not
of
for
dark
me.
romance tropes of 2023, and then here's some tropes so you guys can get an idea of what's inside of these books. So stalker trope, as Santana mentioned,
Yes.
cheating, infidelity, serial killer, angsty rock star. Okay, not so happy ending, non-consent trope. How
See,
is
I have a little bit of a problem with that
right?
one. Yeah, that one's not for
Non-consent
me.
trope. No, and there was like 44 books in this thing that was added to it.
Oh God. Like, how are girls into that?
What? How are girls into that? I'll say two more. Possessive, dubious consent.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was in this
Well,
one.
I'm sorry, there's different levels of consent now? Like, what the F, you guys?
Honestly.
I didn't really realize it because in our minds, for us, dark trope was the Devil Knight series.
Yes.
Penelope Douglas's books are considered dark
Yes,
romances,
yes.
and it was still dark. Don't get us wrong;
Yes,
those were
yeah.
dark books, but nothing in terms of what the ritual and then
And this one,
and
no.
that one.
Like I thought, like it was gonna be a decent. It was so raved on TikTok.
Oh,
They were making his character seem so great. Like, oh, I love him.
Like-
and he's like literally a psychopath.
Yeah.
And like, oh, he could have been a good character. You know what I mean? Like he had some traits that like if she would have delved into like, his better side.
Yeah.
He could have been such a good character, but
She just really went into
It
that
was
dark
like-
side. Oh my gosh. And another book I want to bring up that I DNF'd too was God of Malice by Rena Kent. This book.
Oh, I bought that one. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, yeah, so thankfully these two books that I mentioned were on my Kindle.
Oh,
'Cause
so you get to test them.
I get to test them out, and I DNF'd it, and it doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Like Santana bought that book, so I wanted,
Yeah.
that's a little hard. So I understand how she finished
Yeah.
it, but I couldn't finish it.
I didn't read it yet. I just came in actually.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'll have to check it out.
I don't know. This was another book that was rave reviewed. It was on my TBR list for a while, and I'm just gonna find the description for you guys. And a few chapters, or wasn't even like, I think it was like chapter 1. I was like, nope. Okay. I caught the attention of a monster. I didn't ask for it, didn't see it coming, but the moment I do, it's too late. Killian Carson is a predator wrapped in a sophisticated charm. He's cold-blooded, manipulative, and savage. The worst part is that no one sees his devil side. I do. That will cost me everything. I run, but the thing about monsters is they always chase. This book is a non-conventional romance and contains themes that are not to everyone's liking. Please check the author's notes before reading. So I want to say, like, I did check these trigger warnings.
Yeah.
I already knew I had an idea of what the book was about. Again, this is very like vague monsters, and I read the trigger warning, so I knew what I was getting myself into. But I started this book, and I'm gonna kind of tell you guys what I read so far. So she goes onto this cliff top, and she knows someone who has jumped off of it, and she's thinking about doing that as well. She's about to do it, and this main male character comes in and like saves her. I'm doing air quotes, you guys. Saves her, but then says, "You have to do something for me to pull you off the ledge." Like he's still holding on to her, okay? And so she's like, "Whatever, I'll do anything."
Yeah.
And then she thinks he's just like ha 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 joking, and he also takes a picture of her about to like jump off. And then it's like, "I want to watch this before you." Anyways, okay.
Oh God.
So he takes her off the ledge, still holding on to her.
Yeah.
And it's like, "You need to do something for me." And then proceeds to say that she has to mouth his private parts.
Oh my.
Okay. Okay. And so it goes into detail.
And she does it.
She starts, and then she bites it.
Oh God.
And then he's like, "Don't do that. I will, like, end you." And then she proceeds to do it.
Stop.
I want to metaphorically,
It's
I'm
almost
walking
like-
off the screen, you guys.
Yeah, like honestly.
I'm sorry, what?
That is so
What
weird.
is this author talking about? And she goes to do it. And I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't have to read anymore.
Yeah. I've had enough.
What in the heck?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, like, dark romance is fun, it's exhilarating, it's exciting.
Yes.
These are things that normally we would not be into. Dark romance is all about like the villains.
Yes.
The villains get the girl.
Yeah,
You know, there's not really
exactly.
like heroes in these stories. But there
Morally
are
gray
lines.
characters,
Yeah,
yeah.
but there are lines that I'm sorry, you should not cross.
No, exactly.
Like there's a line between enjoying these things and then perpetuating serial killers, perpetuating
exactly.
like molestation. Like
exactly.
it's insane
Like,
to me that these
the
are
whole
books.
consent thing too. It's just
Oh, and I know I rave about like this is fantasy, it's not real,
Yeah.
and other characters that we've read. You know, you can kind of be like, oh well,
Yeah.
like I'll
Yeah.
deal with that.
yeah.
But I'm sorry. No, I throughout that book, I would never be like, oh, I like him now.
Yeah, exactly.
After doing that to the female character in the first
it's like,
chapter.
okay, love him.
Love him. He's so mysterious, but only for me. What
it's
are
like,
you effing
wow.
talking about?
It's insane.
It's insane,
Yeah.
and I just can't do it. And
Yeah.
now I'm like getting so disappointed with like dark romance as a subgenre because it's like book after book.
I know, and I found like it has to have a good storyline too. Like, can't just be about like this shock value stuff.
No, that's be romance.
You know what I mean?
Good
like,
writing.
I like good writing too. It needs to have
Yes.
good writing. If it's not good writing, it's just like, what is this?
You're just putting like
Yeah.
softcore bondage crazy stuff in a book for
Yeah,
what? Like you said, to
exactly.
shock people.
Yeah, 100%.
Where's romance in that?
Exactly.
Like how can you root for characters like that?
Exactly.
Oh, which is so
100%.
frustrating to me. And I'm glad that right now I'm reading The Haunting of Adeline on
Yes.
Kindle, and I'm
How is
enjoying
that?
it.
It's good?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
good.
good,
It's good.
good.
It's the stalker.
Because that one was also,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
raved
very
on
raved
TikTok.
about.
Yeah.
Exactly. It has the stalker trope
Yeah.
of him like following her and you know, anyone who touches her, he like
Yeah.
you know, but it's actually like a good story.
Good story. Yeah, like that matters.
Yes, that
It's high up on
matters.
the list for me.
Exactly. And he's mysterious. Like, it does go into his point of view and her point of view.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like, it's not these two other books. Or
Yeah.
3 books we talked about
Yes.
at all. So I'm enjoying that. And Haunting of Adeline is a dark romance book. So
Yes.
I'll let you guys know once I finish it.
Yeah,
But so far, I haven't
definitely.
DNF'd it.
Yeah.
So
she's good.
she's good. I'm good. So yeah, I definitely did not realize like dark romance was like this intense.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to judge,
Me
but I'm
neither.
kind of
I'm
like,
not like it's just like
It's
where
this-
do we draw the line?
where do you draw the line? You know, like
Honestly.
I don't really see the appeal of reading about those specific topics.
Yeah.
Because then are you just telling your readers like it's okay
Yeah.
if a guy does that to you?
Yeah.
Like,
It's hot.
It's hot.
Like-
He's nice to you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's fantasy
Like-
and then there's things you shouldn't write about.
Yeah.
And I think I'm definitely
agree.
in the camp of like you shouldn't write about this.
100%.
Like how is this so popular? Oh
I
my
agree.
gosh. There was an interview with Rena Kent, who is the author of God of Malice, and I kind of want to go into some of the quotes
Oh yeah.
of what they said regarding this because the interview was about like dark romance and like what is dark romance. This is an interview question on the challenging the notion that this genre fetishizes violence against women, because I think it definitely does. Like there's a point where you can actually physically be violent and you could just kind of maybe like tip along that line.
Yeah.
And this is what Kent says. Quote, I have very strong opinions about this because I feel like dark romance in general, is very frowned upon. And for me, it's a form of subconscious misogyny or blatant misogyny because it's a genre for women, mostly written by women. Okay, that statement right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going. And society in general doesn't want women to express what they want or whatever is not proper or morally correct is frowned upon. Whereas we don't frown upon incest in Game of Thrones, we don't frown upon horror, we don't think people who love Stephen King are going to turn into crazy killers. But if you like dark romance, you're going to be morally incorrect. It is definitely a double standard, and I hope we do better, and I'm all for normalizing this, end quote. Okay.
I mean, I get where she's coming from. I do, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, like I said, where do we draw the line? How
call
far
it-
is too far? How dark is too dark?
Yeah, like to call it misogyny, that's like such a bold statement.
Yeah.
And I get when she brings up Game of Thrones, like, yeah, like I never watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I watched House of Dragon, and there is incest.
Yeah.
It's an uncle and a niece, and you're like, you're so into it.
Yeah.
But for me, that world is with dragons.
Yes.
Right? Like, and it's not going to descriptive detail. They have children, so you can figure out where you want to go from there.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, there is love. But again, sorry, it's fantasy. There's dragons, okay?
Yeah.
They're fighting upon dragons. They're conquering kingdoms. I can see why in that day and age you'd want to keep, in your bloodline
Yeah.
because you're trying to rule over a kingdom.
Yes.
Okay, that's how I can
Yeah.
pass it. But then she goes into horror, okay? In her quote, she goes, "Oh, like you wouldn't judge Stephen King, horror, blah, 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 blah." And I'm going to post these quotes and things on our social media so you guys can read for yourself. But let's just do this for example. Okay, book horror. If you're watching a horror movie and the main character does some of the things that we described, like putting his into her you're not gonna be enjoying that movie.
Yeah, you're gonna be like looking away. It's gonna gonna give you like a
You're not-
visceral reaction
Yes,
almost, where
you're
you're,
not
like,
going to
I
like-
don't like this.
No, you're not gonna
Yeah.
like the main character.
No.
Please, if you give me an example, now I'm getting like so annoyed.
Yeah.
Please give me an example of a horror movie that does that. If it doesn't even do that, where you like the main character.
Yeah,
You're not
exactly.
going to. So then why is it socially acceptable to do it in a book?
Yeah.
When you wouldn't do it in a bloody movie.
Exactly. I
Like,
agree.
It's I got so mad. I was as I was reading this because I did not enjoy that excerpt of what she said.
Yeah. It's a bit crazy.
Yeah, and then this is Anna Wong, who does the Twisted series. There was a question on what they consider dark romance, and this is Anna Wong's quote. So, quote, "I think dark romance is subjective to me. It is books that have darker themes and characters. So this is where you see a lot of anti-heroes and villains positioned as protagonists, where they may be psychological or physical trauma depicted on page, as well as villains. It is more heavier emotions than the classic contemporary moments at the end of the day." Quote. True. But I think if you're considering dark romance, especially what some of these authors write about,
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot more than just that. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem too bad.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, that's okay. It's a little
Yeah.
bit more dark.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But like this dark with like Little Stranger and The Ritual, like, that's just
It's too
dark.
dark. I think we can just keep going in circles with
Yeah.
talking about it, but it's just one of the things that kind of really riled me up.
Yeah, oh,
of like,
definitely.
I don't care. Even if I paid for that book,
Yeah.
I wouldn't keep reading because I just find it just too grotesque.
It's like a train wreck though. Sometimes you can't like, you're like, I need to see where this goes. 'Cause I'm
Right?
like, what the heck?
What the heck? And if you guys enjoyed these books, reading is subjective.
Yeah.
I do have a very passionate thing all of a sudden for these since I've just learned about it. So I'm not going to think of you any less if you read these.
Yes.
I definitely just have an issue of these topics and glorifying it, especially for it's very common for like 1 in 4 women to become sexually assaulted.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're not going to watch it on a movie screen,
Yeah.
why are we able to write about it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe that's the last thing I'm going to say about that.
I agree. 100%.
So to kind of come off of that really big tangent we
Yes.
just had, I think I just want to say I do like dark romance.
Yes,
I
me as
still,
well.
I
Yeah.
still want to read more dark romance
Yeah.
books.
Me too.
I just don't want to read of those specific topics.
Yes.
So, I think having a Kindle is like so beneficial, so you don't have to buy all these
Oh,
books.
definitely.
But I don't know. Now I'm just like, do I want to read that book now? Is it going to have this theme?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're gonna be a little more guarded.
a little guarded now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
We are still in the fall
Yeah.
season. So I thought we'd kind of go over our top 4 fall TBR books.
Yes.
Santana, what's your first one?
So, one of them on my list was Little Stranger, which I talked about. So I'm not going to go into that one again because we've talked about it.
She read that one already and I didn't like it.
Another one on my list was Haunting Adeline, which you kind of talked about already. Do
didn't
you want
really
me
give
to read the
description.
description?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, a young author who has recently moved into her family's home in Washington State following the death of her grandmother. She is stalked by Zaid Meadows, the leader of an underground organization, Z, which aims to end human trafficking. With the help of her friend Dea, Adeline uncovers the secrets of her new home, Parsons Manor, and the murder of her great-grandmother Gigi, all while trying to keep Zaid at an arm's length.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds really good. And
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
think you're
excited
gonna
to
enjoy
read
it.
that one. Yes.
You're borrowing my Kindle for that one.
Yes,
Because it's on
exactly.
Kindle. My first fall TBR is Her Soul to Take by Harley Larox. It's like a French last name. Leon, a deadly magician, defies his cult order to kill Ray. As monsters awaken, they must trust each other to survive. A dark and sexy supernatural thriller. Very vague, which is fine. I kind of like to go into these books.
Good.
It's really good. It's
Yeah.
the first book of a trilogy. It has really good reviews.
Have you started reading it yet?
No, not yet, because I am reading Exodus and The Haunting of Adeline.
Yes.
But it's definitely on there,
Yeah.
because I think it's on Kindle.
Oh, okay.
I think it's on Kindle. So I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So my next one is Society of Lies by Lauren Lane Brown. A thrilling mystery unfolds when a young woman's death at a college reunion reveals dark secrets within an exclusive social club and a hidden secret society.
Ooh, I love secret societies.
I know. I love
sounds
that.
really cool.
Sounds good, right? It was on Reese's book club, Reese Witherspoon's book club.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll check that one out.
No, she usually obviously recommends really good
Yeah,
books.
she does.
No, I like it, and
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've read like a book that's not like fantasy or
Yeah,
something,
or
right?
dark romance.
Yeah, so that sounds really
I like to
interesting.
switch it up, go back and forth.
I know sometimes when you read books back to back, you're just like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like when I read One Dark Window and Kingdom of the Cursed,
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
And so when I was like
Same
talking
sort of
about it,
themes,
I
yeah.
was like, I'm kind of mixing these books up. My next books are both Carrie Lake books. She's an author. This one's called, I'm going to butcher it, Anathema. In a gothic dark fantasy world lies Witch Keneal, a forbidden forest where a cursed lord and a mysterious ward face danger and obsession. Very vague,
Ooh.
but is a very raved about book on
Yeah.
Book Talk, and I'm very excited because
That
I've
one does sound really good.
heard good things about this
Yeah,
author.
me as well.
What is your next one?
So my next one is The Unfortunate Side Effect of Heartbreak and Magic. Sadie Revelare has always believed that the curse of 4 heartbreaks that accompanies her magic would be worth the price. But when her grandmother is diagnosed with cancer with only weeks left to live, and her first heartbreak, Jake McNeely, returns to town after a decade, her carefully structured life begins to unravel. So it's saying for fans of practical magic and Gilmore Girls. So it's like that cozy, like
yeah.
witchy vibe.
Oh, I love
So I
that.
thought it'd be good for fall.
That's so cool. My third one is a Carrie Lake. In this dark academia romance, a student and her professor are entangled in a deadly secret on a haunted island off the coast of Maine. This one I saw for so long that I wanted to read it for a long time, and so I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be my next book.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
And Santana already said her fourth one.
Yes.
So my last one is called Lights Out by Nevessa Allen.
Ooh, this one's on my TBR too.
TBR, and I
Yes.
just accidentally removed it. So I gotta go back. I heard it's really good, and she just announced the second book and the second cover.
Oh, awesome.
I want someone with a soul as black as night, someone who would burn the world down for me and not lose a single minute of sleep over it. Trauma nurse Allie doesn't need any more kinks. She likes the one she's landed on just fine. To her, nothing could top the masked men she follows online. Unless one of those men was shirtless, heavily tattooed, and waiting for her in her bedroom. This is dark romance. She dreams of being hunted by one in particular, of him chasing her down and doing delicious dark things to her willing body. She never could have guessed that by sending one drunken text, those dreams would become her new reality.
Ooh, I know this. I've been wanting to read this one for a while.
I really hope it's a good dark romance and not a bad dark romance.
Not too crazy.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read all of these.
Yes.
Hopefully I can read them before winter comes.
Yes, before we get into Christmas season.
Christmas season, I'm really curious what everyone else's fall TBR books are.
Yeah.
If it's kind of all in the same world in terms of like fantasy, romance,
Yeah.
mystical. So I'm excited.
Yes, me too.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again.
For joining us. Hopefully this topic wasn't too crazy. I would love to hear in the comments or on our social medias
Yes.
for you guys what is too dark. Have you read a dark romance book before?
Yeah.
If you haven't, do you want recommendations? We know a few.
Yes, let us know because
We'll steer you in the right direction.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.